Ever feel like you're drowning in information? Trying to keep up with what stakeholders want, what the media is saying, what your own team is even
And
doing.
that'd be impossible.
It can.
Yeah.
But what if there was a way to cut through the noise and actually make sense of it all? That's where AI is stepping in. AI is transforming the world of corporate
It
communications.
really is. It's a real game changer.
It
AI
is.
is, we're moving away from that old model where communications was seen as just creative storytelling and relationship building. Now it's all about using data to make strategic decisions and measure real impact.
So we're diving deep into an April 2025 report from Cognition.Info. It's titled AI in Corporate Communications. We're going to figure out what this all means for you. So by the end of this deep dive, you'll not only understand how AI is reshaping the field, but also the opportunities and potential challenges that come with it.
Yeah. And one of the things that really struck me when reading the report was just how many pressures there are pushing organizations in this direction. I mean, the media landscape is totally fragmented. Everyone expects personalized communication now, and companies need to manage their reputations in real time.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle.
It
It
is.
almost makes you want to unplug and go live in a cabin in the woods.
Right.
Right. But before you ditch your smartphone, let's talk about how AI can actually help with all of this.
Yeah, instead of running away, companies are turning to AI to help make sense of this complex landscape. Technologies like natural language processing, machine learning, and predictive analytics are giving them the tools they need to stay ahead.
So it's not just about automating tasks, it's about gaining a deeper understanding of everything that's happening around you.
Right.
And that brings us to one of the biggest drivers of this AI explosion, the sheer volume of content out there.
It's mind-boggling. The report mentions that leading companies are now managing an average of 15 to 20 different communication channels. And get this, communication teams are creating 3 to 5 times more content than they were just 5 years ago.
That's a content tsunami.
Yeah.
No wonder everyone's feeling overwhelmed. But hold on, if AI is generating all this content, how can we be sure that it's actually good?
That's a valid concern. Think about it this way. AI can help you generate a first draft of a press release, adapt that same message for social media, and even personalize it for different audiences. It's about efficiency and consistency at a scale that just wouldn't be possible otherwise.
So AI takes care of the heavy lifting, and then humans step in to add the finesse and make sure that everything is on brand.
Right.
So that brings us to another key driver here, personalization. Everyone wants to feel like they're being spoken to directly, but doing that at scale is a huge challenge.
Absolutely. The report actually found that personalized communication can boost engagement by 30 to 50%,
That's huge.
which is, yeah, it's huge. But here's the catch. 72% of communication leaders say they struggle to personalize messages effectively.
So that's where AI comes in. It can analyze massive amounts of data to figure out who your audience is, what they care about, and how they like to receive information.
Exactly. AI can segment your audience into meaningful groups, predict what content they'll respond to, and even tailor the wording of your messages to resonate with each individual.
It's like having a mind-reading marketing guru on your team.
Haha. Right.
But AI isn't just for marketing and PR. It's also changing the game when it comes to crisis management.
Oh, yeah. In today's hyper-connected world, things can go viral in an instant. The report actually states that companies have an average of just 45 minutes to respond effectively to a crisis before it spirals out of control.
That's barely enough time to brew a pot of coffee.
I know.
How can AI help companies react that quickly?
Think of it as an early warning system. AI can constantly monitor social media news outlets' online forums to identify potential threats and give you a heads up before things blow up.
So instead of putting out fires, you can prevent them from starting in the first place.
Exactly.
That's a huge advantage in today's fast-paced world, for sure.
And when a crisis does hit, how can AI help then?
Well, AI can help you analyze sentiment, track the spread of misinformation, and even draft responses. It's like having a crisis management team working around the clock.
This all sounds incredibly valuable.
It is.
But let's shift gears for a second and talk about another big challenge: keeping employees informed and engaged, especially with so many people working remotely.
Yeah, it's a real struggle. The report cites research indicating that almost 3/4 of employees feel disconnected from what's happening within their companies, particularly in hybrid work environments.
That's a recipe for disaster.
There-
Miscommunication, missed deadlines, low morale.
Exactly.
How can AI help bridge that gap?
Well, AI can tailor internal communications to each employee's role, location, and interests. It can also measure engagement and provide insights into what's working and what's not.
So it's about making sure that everyone feels like they're in the loop and that their voices are being heard, even if they're not physically in the office.
Right.
And it's not just about keeping employees happy.
It's about ensuring that everyone is aligned with the company's goals and has the information that they need to do their best work.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest, though. At the end of the day, what really matters to most companies is the bottom line. How do we know that investing in AI will actually lead to tangible results?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. While 77% of communication leaders say they're under pressure to measure the return on their investments, only 23% feel confident in their ability to actually do so.
That's a huge gap.
It is a huge gap.
But AI can help bridge it, right?
AI can track how communication activities are connected to business outcomes. For example, you can use AI to see how a specific social media campaign influenced sales, or how a targeted internal communication improved employee productivity.
So it's not just about counting likes and shares anymore.
No.
It's about showing how communication is directly contributing to the company's success.
Right.
Now that we've unpacked some of those key drivers, let's dive into the market itself and see what kind of impact AI is actually having.
And the numbers are pretty impressive. The global market for AI and corporate communications was valued at $2.8 billion dollars in 2023 and is projected to reach a whopping $18.5 billion dollars by 2030.
That's a massive jump.
It is.
What's fueling this incredible growth?
Well, it's a combination of factors, including the increasing adoption of cloud-based solutions, the growing sophistication of AI algorithms, and the rising demand for personalized communication experiences.
It sounds like a perfect storm of opportunity.
It does.
But who are the major players in this space? Are we talking about tech giants, scrappy startups, or a mix of both?
It's a really diverse landscape, which is
Yeah.
what makes it so fascinating. You've got the big enterprise players like Adobe Salesforce and HubSpot who are integrating AI into their existing platforms.
So companies are already familiar with these platforms,
Right.
and now they can add AI capabilities on top of them.
Yeah,
That's a smart move.
it is. And then you have the pure play AI communication startups that are developing cutting edge technologies and really disrupting the market with their innovative approaches.
That's always exciting to see.
Yeah.
What about the more traditional PR and communications tool providers? Are they getting in on the action as well?
Oh, they're definitely not sitting on the sidelines. Companies like Cision and Meltwater, who have been around for a while, are adding AI features to their existing offerings to keep pace with the competition.
And of course, we can't forget about the big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon.
Right.
They're all investing heavily in AI, so it's only natural that they would want a piece of this pie.
Absolutely. They're leveraging their vast resources and expertise to develop powerful AI solutions that can be applied to a wide range of communication challenges.
It's a really interesting mix of established players and disruptors, each with their own strengths and strategies. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for companies to find the right solution for their specific needs.
That's one of the key takeaways here.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to AI in corporate communications. Companies need to carefully assess their goals, their challenges, and their resources before deciding which path to take.
That makes a lot of sense. But before we jump into the specific tools and platforms, let's talk about the investment landscape. How much money is being poured into this space, and who's writing the checks?
Venture capitalists are definitely taking notice. In 2023, venture capital investment in AI-powered corporate communications reached a record $1.4 billion across 87 deals.
Wow, that's a significant amount of money.
It is.
What are they betting on? What are the areas attracting the most investment?
The hot areas are natural language generation, communication intelligence and analytics and personalization, and audience segmentation.
So investors are putting their money behind the technologies that will make communication more efficient, insightful, and targeted.
Exactly.
That makes sense given everything we've discussed so far. But what about private equity firms? Are they playing a role in this market as well?
Oh, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. Private equity firms invested a total of $3.2 billion in the communication technology sector in 2023.
That's even more than venture capital.
It is.
What's their strategy? Are they backing startups or focusing on more established companies?
Their main focus is on consolidating existing point solutions into integrated platforms. They're looking to create those one-stop shop solutions that can handle everything from PR and internal comms to social media and crisis management.
It sounds like they're betting on the idea that companies want a single platform that can do it all, powered by AI.
Exactly. And it makes sense. Integrating multiple AI solutions can be complex and expensive. Having a single platform that can handle everything is a much more appealing proposition for many companies.
So we've got venture capitalists backing innovative startups, private equity firms consolidating the market, and big tech companies developing their own solutions. It's a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape.
It is.
But what about the companies themselves? Are they actually embracing AI in their communication strategies?
The report suggests that enterprise adoption is in the early majority phase, which means it's starting to go mainstream. We're seeing an estimated penetration rate of 18 to 22% among target companies.
That's a pretty impressive adoption rate considering how new this technology is. What are some of the common adoption patterns you're seeing?
Most companies are starting small, focusing on specific use cases where AI can deliver quick wins and demonstrate value.
That's a smart approach. Start small, build momentum, and then scale up.
Right.
What are some of the early use cases that are proving successful?
We're seeing a lot of companies using AI for social media monitoring and sentiment analysis. They're also using AI to personalize email marketing campaigns and improve the efficiency of their content creation workflows.
Those are all great examples of how AI can deliver tangible benefits. But are companies actually seeing a return on their investment?
The numbers are encouraging. Organizations that have implemented AI-powered communication solutions are reporting an average ROI of 3.8 times their investment within 18 months.
That's a pretty compelling argument for giving AI a try. And it sounds like this adoption is happening across departments, not just within communications teams. The report mentioned that 58% of initiatives are jointly sponsored by communications and technology leadership.
Yeah, that's a really positive trend. It shows that companies are recognizing the strategic importance of AI in communications and are willing to invest in cross-functional collaboration to make it work.
It sounds like we've painted a pretty rosy picture of AI in corporate communications.
Yeah, it does sound that way.
But I imagine there are some challenges and potential pitfalls to consider as well. What are some of the things that companies need to be aware of before they jump on the AI bandwagon?
You're absolutely right. There are some important challenges that we need to address. And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
We just spent some time exploring all the exciting opportunities AI is creating in corporate communications.
Yeah.
But let's face it, no technology is perfect. What are some of the potential challenges that come with integrating AI into this field?
Well, there are definitely some things to consider before going all in on AI. One of the biggest is the issue of integrating these new AI solutions into existing technology stacks. Many companies have already invested heavily in various communication platforms, and trying to make them all work together seamlessly with AI can be a real headache.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, right? You've got all these different systems with their own quirks and data silos.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
It's a common pain point. Companies often struggle with data fragmentation and workflow disruptions. Imagine you're trying to implement an AI-powered analytics tool when your communication data is spread across a dozen different platforms. It's a recipe for frustration.
So how do you solve that problem? Do you rip and replace all your existing systems with a shiny new AI-powered platform?
Well, that's one option, but it's not always the most practical or cost-effective. A more realistic approach is to look for integration platforms and data unification solutions that can bridge the gap between your existing systems and new AI tools.
So it's about finding ways to make these technologies work together, not replacing everything you've already invested in.
Right.
But even with the right technology in place, don't you still need the right people to manage it all?
That brings us to another challenge, the skills gap. Finding people who understand both the art of communication and the science of AI is like finding a unicorn.
It makes sense. You need someone who can not only craft a compelling story, but also understand algorithms, analyze data, and manage AI-powered tools. It's a rare combination of skills.
It is.
So how do we bridge this gap?
Well, on one hand, we need specialized training programs to equip communication professionals with the AI skills they need to thrive in this new landscape.
And on the other hand,
We also need to develop AI tools that are intuitive and user-friendly for communication professionals, even those without a deep technical background.
so it's about meeting in the middle, making AI accessible to those who are already experts in communication.
Yeah.
What else do companies need to be thinking about?
Another big challenge is maintaining content quality and brand voice consistency. AI can generate content quickly and efficiently, but how do we ensure that it meets the same standards of quality and reflects the company's unique voice?
That's a great point. We don't want AI to create content that sounds robotic or off-brand. It needs to feel authentic and aligned with the company's values.
Exactly. And we also need to consider cultural sensitivity. For companies communicating with global audiences, AI needs to be able to navigate those nuances and avoid potential pitfalls.
It seems like human oversight is going to be crucial even as AI becomes more sophisticated.
It is.
It's about finding the right balance between AI's capabilities and human creativity and judgment.
I couldn't agree more. AI is a powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for human expertise. It's about using AI to augment our skills and make us more effective communicators.
Speaking of effectiveness, let's talk about measurement.
Okay.
It's all well and good to have AI generate content and analyze data, but how do we actually know if it's working?
Yeah, that's where things get tricky. Measuring the ROI of AI in communications is a complex task. It's not enough to just look at vanity metrics like website traffic or social media engagement. We need to be able to connect those data points to tangible business outcomes.
So you need to be able to show that a specific AI-powered campaign actually led to increased sales, improved brand awareness, or some other measurable outcome.
Yes, and it requires sophisticated attribution models that can track the customer journey across multiple touchpoints and accurately attribute success to specific communication activities.
That sounds like a job for, you guessed it, AI.
Exactly. We need to develop AI-powered measurement frameworks that can handle the complexity of today's communication landscape and provide the insights companies need to make informed decisions.
This is all fascinating, but I'm also starting to feel a bit overwhelmed by all the challenges.
Yeah.
Is there any good news here? What are some of the solutions companies are using to overcome these hurdles?
The good news is that there are a lot of smart people working on these problems, and we're seeing some really innovative solutions emerge. One area that's particularly exciting is generative AI communication platforms.
Okay, so generative AI.
Yeah,
That's the technology behind those language models everyone's been talking about.
right.
The ones that can, write poems, code scripts, even compose music.
Yeah, that's right. But these platforms aren't just for creative writing. They're being trained specifically for communications tasks. So that means they can help you write press releases, social media posts, internal memos, even speeches.
So instead of staring at a blank page, you can give the AI a few prompts and it'll generate a first draft for you.
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly time-saving.
It is, and it's not just about speed either. Generative AI can also ensure that your messaging is consistent across all channels and tailored to each audience. But of course, you'll still want a human to review and refine the output, adding that special human touch.
That makes sense. It's about collaboration, not replacement. What's the market looking like for these platforms? Are they still in the early stages or are they starting to gain some traction?
Oh, the market is absolutely booming. The report estimates that the market for generative AI communication platforms will reach $3.2 billion by 2025, with a compound annual growth rate of 42%.
Wow, that's a hockey stick growth curve.
It is.
But as with any new technology, there are bound to be some challenges. What are some of the potential drawbacks of these platforms?
One concern is ensuring the accuracy and reliability of the content that these platforms generate. While they can be incredibly helpful, it's important to remember that they're still learning and can sometimes make mistakes.
So fact-checking is still essential even when you have an AI assistant.
Right.
What about the issue of brand voice? Can these platforms really capture the unique tone and style of a company?
That's where human oversight comes in again. It's important to train these platforms on your brand guidelines and provide feedback on their output. Over time, they can learn to mimic your brand voice more effectively.
It's almost like training a new employee, but one that can process information and generate content at lightning speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got generative AI platforms for content creation. What other exciting tools are out there?
Another area that's ripe with potential is predictive stakeholder intelligence systems. So imagine being able to anticipate what your stakeholders will want, what concerns they'll have, and how they'll react to different messages.
That sounds like a superpower.
Yeah.
It would be incredibly valuable to be able to predict the future and tailor your communications accordingly.
Well, these systems aren't about seeing the future, but they can get pretty close. They analyze vast amounts of data, including past behavior preferences and engagement patterns, to identify trends and predict future actions.
So instead of reacting to events, you can get ahead of them and proactively shape the narrative.
Exactly. It's about moving from a reactive to a proactive communication strategy. These systems can help you identify emerging opportunities, potential crises, and even the best time and channels to reach your target audience.
It's like having a crystal ball for your communications strategy.
Right.
But I imagine there are some challenges with implementing these systems as well. Where do companies typically run into roadblocks?
One challenge is data integration. To make accurate predictions, these systems need access to a wide range of data sources, both internal and external.
So you need to break down those data silos that we talked about earlier and make sure all the information is flowing to the right place.
Exactly. And you also need to be mindful of data privacy and security. These systems are dealing with sensitive information, so it's important to have the right safeguards in place.
That makes sense. It's a powerful technology, but it needs to be used responsibly. What other tools are shaping the future of corporate communications?
Multimodal communication analytics is another game changer. We're moving beyond traditional text-based analytics to analyze audio, video, and image content as well.
So it's not just about what people are saying, but how they're saying it and what visuals they're responding to.
Precisely. These platforms can analyze facial expressions, voice tone, and image sentiment to give you a much deeper understanding of how your messages are being received.
This is fascinating, but I imagine analyzing all these different modalities can be technically challenging.
It is. These platforms rely on a combination of artificial intelligence techniques, including natural language processing, computer vision, and audio analysis.
So it's a real technological feat to be able to analyze all these different types of content in a meaningful way. What are some of the practical applications of this technology?
One example is using multimodal analytics to assess the effectiveness of video content. You can actually see how people react emotionally to different parts of the video, which can help you optimize your messaging and your delivery.
That's incredibly valuable. You can actually see what's resonating with your audience and what's falling flat. It takes the guesswork out of content creation. What about crisis management? Are there specific AI tools that are designed for those high-pressure situations?
The report highlights real-time crisis intelligence centers as a key opportunity. These are AI-powered platforms that provide comprehensive monitoring analysis and response support during a crisis.
So instead of scrambling to gather information and figure out what to do, you have an AI system that's constantly scanning the landscape, detecting potential threats, and providing recommendations for action.
That's the idea. These systems can dramatically reduce response times, minimize reputational damage, and help companies navigate complex crises more effectively.
It's like having a crisis management expert on call 24/7.
Yeah.
But even with these sophisticated tools, I imagine there's still a need for human judgment and intervention.
Absolutely. These systems are incredibly powerful, but they're not infallible. Human oversight is essential to ensure that the information is accurate, the recommendations are appropriate, and the overall response is aligned with the company's values.
So it's about using AI to augment human capabilities, not to replace human judgment. That seems to be a recurring theme throughout our discussion of AI in corporate communications.
It's a crucial point. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It's up to us to use it wisely and ethically.
That brings us to a question that's been on my mind throughout this deep dive. How is AI being applied in different industries? Are there specific tools and solutions that are tailored to the unique needs of different sectors?
Absolutely. We're seeing AI being applied in fascinating ways across a wide range of industries.
Let's start with financial services. It's a highly regulated industry, so I imagine there are a lot of opportunities for AI to help companies navigate those complexities.
You're right. We're seeing AI platforms designed specifically for financial services companies to ensure that their communications comply with all the relevant regulations from SEC filings to investor disclosures.
So AI can help companies stay on the right side of the law while also ensuring that their messages are clear, concise, and effective.
Yes.
What about healthcare? It's another industry where communication is critical.
In healthcare, we're seeing AI platforms that leverage medical language understanding to personalize health communications and improve patient engagement.
So instead of getting generic brochures and confusing medical jargon, patients can receive information that's tailored to their specific needs and easy to understand.
Exactly. AI can also be used to analyze patient data and identify those who might be at risk for certain conditions, allowing healthcare providers to reach out proactively and offer support.
That's a great example of how AI can be used to improve healthcare outcomes. What about internal communications within organizations? How is AI changing the way that companies communicate with their own employees?
Employee experience communication platforms are gaining traction. They use AI to personalize internal communications, measure employee engagement, and optimize information delivery, especially in hybrid work environments.
That's incredibly important as more and more companies embrace remote work. How can these platforms help bridge the gap between in-office and remote employees?
Well, these platforms can tailor messages to each employee's role, location, and interests. They can also provide insights into which communication channels are most effective and what types of content are resonating with employees.
So it's about making sure that everyone feels connected and informed regardless of where they're working. What about government and public affairs? How is AI being used in that sector?
Public affairs intelligence platforms are emerging, using AI to monitor regulations, map stakeholders, analyze policy impact, and optimize communication strategies for government relations and public affairs teams.
It sounds like AI is giving these teams the tools they need to stay ahead of the curve and effectively advocate for their interests.
That's right. These platforms can help them understand the complex legislative landscape, identify key influencers, and tailor their messages to resonate with different audiences.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of AI in corporate communications. We've covered so much ground from the drivers and the market to the challenges and the solutions. What are your final thoughts on this rapidly evolving landscape?
It's clear that AI is not just a passing fad. It's a fundamental shift that's transforming the way companies communicate both internally and externally. The opportunities are immense, but so are the challenges.
What advice would you give to companies that are just starting to explore the potential of AI in their communication strategies?
Start by clearly defining your goals and identifying the specific challenges that you're hoping to address with AI. Then do your research and choose the tools and platforms that best align with your needs and resources.
That's great advice. And remember, AI is a tool, not a magic bullet.
Right.
It's about using technology to enhance human capabilities, not to replace them.
Absolutely. The most successful companies will be those that find the right balance between human creativity and AI's power-fostering collaboration
Yes.
rather than replacement.
It's been a fascinating deep dive. Thank you for sharing your expertise and insights with us.
My pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve. The future of communication is here, and it's powered by AI.